How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be doing my review for Scream 6. Finally got around to seeing it, and I kind of wanted to do a review for it and kind of give my thoughts. And I'll probably do a ranking video of all the Scream movies within the next week as well, so that'll be pretty fun. But before we get into the review, I suspect pretty much everyone has seen it at this point, so this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. So if you just haven't seen it yet, then yeah, don't watch this video because I'm going to be spoiling it right away, actually, because we have the kind of cold opening to this movie because someone always dies at the start of a Scream movie. And this time, I was pretty shocked by who it was. I wasn't expecting this character to die, but it was Samara Weaving's character, and I really love Samara Weaving and everything she's been in so far with her career. And I was actually expecting her to kind of be like a main character in the movie just because of the way the trailers were edited for this film. But no, she dies right off the bat. And it was so sad, to be honest, because I actually liked her character. She was actually a film professor in this movie. And I thought, I don't know, it was kind of interesting. And I just felt bad for her when she went to the alley and she was killed by Jason. Man, that was just depressing. And, it was kind of interesting, though, the way they did it right after she was killed. We have Jason actually taking off the Ghostface mask, and I thought maybe we were going to kind of follow Ghostface through the whole movie. I was like, whoa, this is kind of interesting, this is kind of unexpected, and no, he actually ends up dying, and we find out that Jason's just kind of a wannabe with his roommate, and the real Ghostface ends up killing him and his roommate, and that scene where he opens up the fridge and sees his roommate just all chopped up, it was pretty brutal, but I really loved that opening, and it definitely got me in the mood for this movie. And I thought it's actually one of the better kind of openings to a Scream film, in my opinion. But overall, like, what are my general thoughts on this film? Did I enjoy it as a whole? Yeah, I actually did. I wasn't actually a huge fan of the previous Scream film. Scream 5 was just, I don't know, it didn't really work for me that well. But this movie... And, I was actually looking forward to this film because I was like, maybe they'll do something a bit different with it. And the New York setting seemed kind of interesting. And yeah, I do think this was a vast improvement on the previous Scream movie. And overall, I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was like a masterpiece or anything. Some people were saying it's like one of, if not the best Scream movie out there. And we'll talk about this more in the ranking video. But for me personally, it's not one of the better ones, in my opinion, but it's still good. I kind of feel almost the same about a lot of the Scream movies, but yeah, in general, I did enjoy this movie a lot. And so let's talk about the New York City setting, because that was kind of the big draw of this movie. A lot of people were looking forward to seeing this setting in a Scream film, and it kind of reminded people of some of the older slasher movies like Jason Takes Manhattan or something like that, which I've actually still never seen to this day, but I've heard it's really bad, so I don't know. But yeah, a lot of people were kind of excited for this New York City setting, and I'll be honest, I do think it could have been utilized a bit more. It is utilized, but the fact that this film wasn't even filmed in New York City kind of makes me believe that this is more just a gimmick, because it just doesn't really feel like it was utilized to its fullest potential, and it definitely didn't really feel like New York at times. Sometimes it did, though. I will say that subway scene was amazing, without a doubt. My favorite scene in the whole movie. You're not really knowing which Ghostface was the real one, and you kind of don't know because it's Halloween. That was also cool, setting this movie during Halloween. It makes a lot of sense, and everyone's kind of dressed up as Ghostface, and it was just very intense, not knowing which one was the real one. Man, it was scary. I also really liked the ladder scene when you kind of they had to go to the other apartment building and kind of cross over that alleyway. And that was just, nail biting, I'll tell you that much. And then Ghostface starts shaking that one girl off, and she ends up falling off the ladder, which was very sad. Yeah, that was actually, and very brutal. She fell on top of the dumpster, and ouch. But that was a very good scene as well. And I guess that was kind of a good utilization of the New York City setting, where you did kind of have the two close apartment buildings next to each other. And you wouldn't really typically get that type of a scene if this was set in California. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And I love when Ghostface started shaking the ladder. That guy, man, he's crazy. But in terms of some of the other good moments in this movie that kind of play into the New York City setting, I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, I think the convenience store scene was good, where you have Ghostface use a gun for a brief moment. Some people were kind of maybe against that because Ghostface typically uses a knife, but this isn't Batman, okay? Ghostface, I think, can use a gun, and it's kind of cool, a little bit, just not to. I mean, he barely used it, but it was still it was still cool in my opinion. But I would have still liked to have seen maybe like Times Square or something. I mean, they had some amazing posters for this movie, and some of the advertising was just really great with all the ghost faces in Times Square. And I don't know, I just feel like we should have seen a bit more of New York City. I think there is one part where it takes place during Central Park, but again, the fact that it wasn't actually filmed in New York City, it kind of makes me feel like I was robbed. I don't know. It's more of a nitpick, but I don't know, that's just kind of my opinion. Another good scene in this movie was when we think Gail's gonna die, because I was like, hey man, they make it apparent in this movie that pretty much any of the older characters can die in this movie, and I thought Gail was for sure gonna die. Actually, I was pretty scared about that, but no. And then at one point, I was also scared Chad was gonna die towards the end of the film, and he doesn't end up dying because apparently he's part of the Core Four, as they call themselves in this movie, which is cute. Whatever. I mean, I'm not like a huge fan of some of these newer characters. I don't hate them or anything, but I do still prefer the older characters. So yeah, that one scene when Gail was about to die, or it seemed like she was going to die, that was scary. It was cool to see Kirby back in this movie, and at one point, I was suspecting she was the killer, even before they kind of did that fake out, which there's a lot of fake outs in this movie. Again, going back to Chad and Gail's potential deaths, which they didn't end up dying, but you did kind of think they were going to die. And then you also end up thinking Kirby's going to be the killer. No, she isn't. But I'll admit, I did kind of suspect her, but I didn't really want her to be the killer, I don't think, because that would have been a little sad. But then I was like, what if, they said Sydney wasn't going to be in this movie, obviously. But I was like, what if Sydney's actually the killer? It'd be like a big kept secret. That would have been kind of stupid, and I think some people are kind of against Sydney being the killer and never being Ghostface, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting, is it? But I will say, well, that's kind of one negative of this movie for me. I do miss her presence in this film. I know that's kind of maybe a little bit of a nitpick as well to some people. That might not seem like a big deal, Sydney not being in the movie, but it does seem like maybe she'll be in Scream 7. I don't know yet, but I do hope that they do kind of make it apparent, though, that Sydney kind of had a happy ending, I guess, which is good because she does deserve that. And yeah, she definitely needs to have a happy ending after all the stuff she's been through throughout these movies. But overall, let's talk about like the Ghostface reveal, I guess, because I think overall this movie does a good job at making you not know who the killer is. But I think that's kind of my problem with these movies in general. And I don't want to sound pretentious or anything like that, but I kind of just expect anyone to be Ghostface. You know what I mean? Like, I just like, oh, well, if someone reveals their Ghostface, I'll just be like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But overall, I'm not going to pretend to be like I knew everyone was going to be or like I didn't know in specific who was going to be Ghostface, but I think just in general this movie does it kind of do a good job at making you not know who the killer is. And there's actually 3 killers in this movie, and that's kind of crazy. And also one of them, Quinn, she basically faked her death because she dies earlier in the movie. Wasn't expecting that. Also, Ethan wasn't thinking it was going to be him, but it was, because they kind of make it seem like, oh no, it's not him. They really make you believe it's not him, but it is. So that was pretty crazy. It was a good reveal in that kind of layer. It was a little goofy, I'll be honest, that kind of layer they created with all the kind of, I guess, artifacts from the previous Scream films. It was kind of goofy a little bit, but also very exciting. And this movie was just a fun time overall. Very bloody, very scary, but it was fun. Like, I had a good time watching it in the movie theater. And I'm glad I got to see it in the movie theater before it went out, because I was weeks late to this film, but I did end up seeing it in the cinema, so that was good. And yeah, overall, I liked the movie. Just didn't like blow me away, but yeah, I mean, it was a good time. Like, I can't lie, it was a good time. But let me hear your thoughts on this movie down in the comments below. I mean, what did you guys think about it? What did you guys think of the ghost face reveal? It was pretty crazy, I gotta say. And, I think overall this movie does make a good job at kind of not showing you who Ghostface is right away and kind of keeping you on the edge of your seat, to be honest, because I was definitely on the edge of my seat multiple times in this movie. And, sometimes maybe in other Scream movies, it's kind of obvious to figure out who the killer is. But yeah, this movie, I think it did a good job at kind of disguising that. But post your thoughts and comments down below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Check out my Letterboxd and my Twitter down in the description below. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Peace.